Hello and welcome to episode 50 of the No Excuses podcast. Today is Saturday the 31st of December, and so it's the last day of the year, New Year's Eve, and of course we're going to get all glammed up and go to a party tonight, aren't we? No, we'll do what we do every other New Year's Eve, and that is watch some telly, and then we usually stay up a little bit later than usual because of the fireworks. Bertie's not too reactive, but we normally stay up till about 1:15 when the fireworks have well and truly stopped, and then we'll go to bed. So yeah, we don't celebrate at all really. So hello, I forgot to say my name's Anne, and I live in Worcestershire in England with my husband Tom and our dog Bertie. They are both outside in the shed at the moment. Bertie won't like that because it's not heated. Tom's doing some Windows update on his laptop in the shed, so I'm taking the opportunity as well to podcast while I've got everything around me. Hope the lighting's okay. It's very dull today, and it's gone back 2 o'clock, so it's going to get darker from now on. Anyway, today we are going to talk about a few things as usual. I've actually got a finished item. I've got some new stuff because we've had Christmas, and I've got some plans as always because you know I like making plans. But first of all, how are you? Have you had a good Christmas? If that's what you celebrate, and if you don't celebrate, I don't blame you. It's a lot of fuss about nothing sometimes, isn't it? Especially as you get older, I think, I can't be bothered. Hear some noises. Bert's just come back in. Hello, Bertie. Well, it's been 2 weeks since I last spoke to you, so I'm doing all right. And I'm hoping to stay on track, hopefully from now on anyway. Everything I talk about in here there should be links to down below. And if there isn't, you know where to contact me. Say episode 50, so that's, it's taken me nearly 2 years to get there, but getting there slowly but surely. I don't know where we're getting, but anyway, I am wearing a City Limits jumper. This is my purpley green one. It goes down to green towards the bottom, and then it's a bit of red at the bottom actually, and this is really, really nice. It's getting a bit tatty now because I wear it so often. I've got this one, I've got the pinky beige one that I had on last time, and I've got an orange through to brown one as well. And I'm thinking I could probably do with another one. Just making sure Bert's settled on the floor. Yeah, so let's get on with the chat. There is one make-along running at the moment, which is the jump-along. I'll put the hashtag down below and I'll put it on the screen. I need to decide what my year-long make-along is going to be. I think I'm just going to have a year-long make-along, If you set definitions too tight, then, I think we're just opening a year-long make-along and say whatever you want to put in it, and see how it goes, really. Enjoy your knitting. I would put knit from your stash because that's my intention. But then there's been a lot of those already, and I think, it might not suit everybody. So, enough the waffle. Let's get on with it. I have finished my Advent Andy. No, it's not Advent Andy. It's my Advent Envy. I think you're going to call it a shawl by Amanda Rios, and I absolutely love it. I don't. People use superlatives all the time, don't they, on the internet? But I do absolutely love this. I love the pattern. I will have a little bit of a moan in a minute, but let me see if I can show you. This is the Advent, I'm going to call it Advent Andy again. The Advent Envy, and you do a slip stitch pattern roughly on 1/2. Let me show you the slip stitch. I don't know whether this is focusing, of course, If it doesn't, I'll have to insert some photographs. And the way you do the edging, it creates a sort of I-cord edging on both sides, but you do a cast off. It's not been blocked, it needs blocking. A cast off, a proper I-cord edging on a couple of the edges, and it grows quite quickly. And this is knit in my gorgeous BFL gradient fade that I had from Emma at Yarnworthy. And then you get to this bit here and you go off in a different direction. You do an I-cord across the top, and then you do garter using 2 colours at a time. And then I did, instead of 2 row garters, I just did 4 row garters towards the end, and then you cast off with another I-cord edge. So it's a decent size. It's got a little bits of detailing. You can see on maybe able to see on the edge there, and I really like it. I like the pattern. The pattern's easy to follow. It looks complicated because she's gone into detail with you use this colour and that colour and this colour and that, you know, but it actually, once you read it, it's great. And you know, I've probably used about half of the fade. I had 27 minis. I don't know where the 28th one went to. I may have included it in somebody's advent, or split it up into, you know, to divide into 2 10-gram minis. I don't know why I would have done that, because I like all the colours. I did seem to have quite a bit of mustard. I think I had 11 mustardy type tones, but I'm not complaining because it's one of my favourite colours, and it did go well with the rest of them, and it feels lovely. Now the slip stitch end feels very squishy, because it's almost like a double fabric really, because you're slip stitching every other row, and the garter is always squishy, but you can tell the fabric is not as dense as this. And because I think I used about half of the I haven't weighed it, but probably just over half of each one. And I kept thinking, should I have just made it bigger and bigger and bigger? But the trouble is, I don't know about you, but I never read ahead. And also, I want this to be wearable. I want to be able to wear this regularly because it's so gorgeous. And if I'd made it bigger, then it would have been a blanket, really. And it would have been too long to keep, you know, my head would have disappeared like a tortoise, going back into its shell if I'd had that many wraps around it. Around my head, if I'd made it any longer. So really, I've done the right thing. My only gripe is, and it annoys me because I keep thinking about it, so I'm going to have to forget about it, aren't I? I don't know if I can do anything about it, but when you start off, and I just mentioned this last time, you do a very small section. You start off where's the cast on? I think the cast on's there. Yes, cast on's there. And you start off with a very small section of stocking stitch, which is nothing like the rest of the shawl. And also, it's tight. Now that isn't so tight against the edge, because that's got the slip stitch in and it makes a firmer fabric. So you've got this and you can see it turning over. And I don't think that's going to block out very well, because this is quite stretchy because it's single layer stocking stitch. So I'm a bit annoyed. I like the way when you pick up along this edge here, I was very careful how I did it. I did it half of one stitch and half of another on the edging. And it's come out very neat, and I'm very impressed with that. And it looks nice on the other side as well. You've got like a double row of stitching, and I think that's worked really well. And if anybody wants to knit this, I'd recommend doing that. But this is really irritating me, ridiculously so. I did think about getting one of the there are a couple that I haven't used, colours I haven't used in here, because I had 27 and Advent's 24, isn't it? I could have gone and added, but the two of the colours I had left were very similar to ones I'd already used, so I didn't put them in. But I'm wondering whether to do a bit of duplicate stitching, really, just to satisfy my soul. But then is it worth it? I don't know. I can't get to that because it's enclosed. But yeah, that's the fault of me in a way of undoing it, not reading ahead. And I don't think I would have appreciated the difference it would have made anyway. But I just find it a bit irritating that that's just stocking stitch and the rest of it's squishy. So bear in mind, if you want to knit this, I would suggest that at the beginning that you do this in the same pattern, even if you only with the slip stitch texture, even if you only do it in the one colour. Would be my super tip. And I'll put that on Ravelry, I think, because it annoys me so much. It's not going to stop me wearing it, to be fair, is it? I just like moaning, don't I? So there we are, the Advent Envy. It is fabulous, and I'm really, really, really pleased with it. No idea what meterage is in it, but I shall have it weighed, and I will put it on the project details on Ravelry. So that's my only finished object, because I've been knitting quite obsessively on that. I have made a little bit of progress on my Felix. The fact I finished the body, I may have finished it when I spoke to you last time. I got it out last night to put, because I'd finished the shawl. I got it out last night, the Felix, to put to start on the sleeves, because they're on cables at the moment. So I just need to pick a few stitches up on the underarm and then work my way down. However, I was going to put them on DPNs. Don't have a 7mm DPN, and I'm not prepared to buy it just on the off chance I might ever need them again. I had a look on Amazon, I had a look on Woolstack, and I thought they're not going to come for a week, and I want to get it done by then. So my plan is I can either do magic loop for a bit of it, where you've got more stitches at the top of the arm. I've got a very short cable that I can start out on and do a few rows, and then I'm just going to go down to a 6.5mm and with the DPNs and just work it like that. What I could do is probably see what the difference is between, I'm doing the second largest size because I actually went up a size needle to make, I went down a physical size in the pattern, but I went up a needle size because I had the 3 threads. I've got the Suri Alpaca, the screws, the crunching. I'll just show you a little bit of it. Oh, so amateur. I've got the this is the cable, I've got on cables. So I've got the Suri Alpaca, and then I've got 2 colours of the BFL fingering in 2 different greens. So I'm thinking 6.5 will be fine. I'll start it on the 7mm and I'll go down to the 6.5 and we will see how that turns out. I can't see it's going to make a big, excuse me, I can't see it's going to make a big difference, to be honest. So the other thing I'm working on at night, which I haven't brought with me, are the little crochet squares that I've made out of the Halloween box that I had from Beehive Yarns, from Beth, and they're lovely. They are a double knit merino. So, right, sorry about that. That was our boiler serviceman phoning me. I'd realised too late this week, I didn't want to phone him today, that our boiler's due for service next week, and because it's a Bosch and it's got this 10-year guarantee, it has to be done within a limited time. I think we've got 3 weeks, but anyway, he's coming next Thursday. Excellent. What was I talking about? I was talking about the crochet squares. Yeah, I've used up all the yarn out of that set, apart from the pretty purpley Suri Alpaca that I had from Beehive Yarns. And now I'm digging out all various bits of DK wool that I've got, preferably 100% wool. Like I've got some Indian squirrel left over from River Knits. I've got some very pale stuff, but that's quite dark, as long the kit's quite dark that I had, the Halloween kit. I've got some paler colours, and I've also got a little bit of Aran that might work as well. And all I want to do is make a little leg bag to pop over my legs. I'm going to quilt it and to sit there at night, you know, because or sit here while I'm watching the birds and I'm at my crafting table, then keep my legs warm, because I'm still trying not to wear trousers because of the sore patch I've got on my back, which has been playing up somewhat dreadful. It's been playing up. Keep it at that. So yeah, I'm making slow progress on that, because sometimes I don't want to do any crocheting, and I find if I've done 2 round squares, and then I'm adding them 2 more rounds of a different colour to make them a bigger size, and then I'll join them up. I don't need that many, and I've got 130 tiny squares, so some of them, yeah, I'm going to mix and match and see how we get on. I have made an order with Wool Warehouse, which is on its way, and I bought some I think it's either James C. Brett or King Cole Merino that was fairly good value, so I'm hoping it'll be alright. It should be alright for a blanket, really, that I'm going to add to for the edging and to go around with a border type of thing, because I like things to be matchy. Random, I can do random, but I need to set out to do random, and because I've got this gorgeous Halloween kit from Beth, and I will try and put a picture up here, or take some pictures of some of the squares I'm doing, put them in, because they're all sort of nice, blending in nicely. I don't want to ruin it by adding something weird. But then I've got this very, very sort of pale cream with speckles in, that's going to be a bit of a glaring sort of pop of colour, or lack of colour. You'll see what I mean. Stop yattering, girl. Anyway, so those are the 2 things I'm working on. But of course, we have plans. I love making plans. I have spent a lot of this last week trying to decide what I'm going to cast on. Now, many of you watch Ange at Yarn and Yarns, and if you don't, why not? Because she is one of my absolute favourite podcasters. And I met her, albeit briefly, at Wonderwall last year, and I just love everything she does. I don't do any spinning, but I watch all the spinning stuff as well, because I just find it interesting. I'm never going to be spinning. Got no room for it. But I think for the last 4 years, is it 5 years? This might be the 5th year, I'm not sure. Ange has done 12 cast-ons at Christmas, and she's done it, I think she's done it between Christmas and New Year before now, or something like that. But if you want to join in, and I know some of you are already joining in, you can cast on any project that you intend, but it doesn't matter, there's no rules really, that you cast on before the end of January, and you pick out your projects, so you roughly know a lot of the things you're going to work on during the year. And I find that quite a challenge, because A, I can't make a decision about what I'm going to use my wool for, and B, I don't like to have too many projects on the go at any one time. But I couldn't resist, because she's so enthusiastic about it, and despite the fact she's probably got about, I don't know, 30 whips sitting there now from previous years, which, you know, would bother me. I'd want to get it done. It doesn't bother Ange. I mean, she's having fun, you know. Then she can pick and choose what she works on all the time, whereas I limit myself, and that can be a bit tedious sometimes, and you're trying to get something done. You know what I mean? So last year I joined in, and I did 9 cast-ons. You can do any number between 1 and 12. I presume you can do more than that if you want to. I'm already running out of project bags, and I've not even cast anything on yet. Luckily I can make myself a couple of bags. So last year I did 9, and I finished 8. And weirdly, the only one I didn't do was the Advent stockings, which I could have done with during Advent to put little chocolates in for Tom. There you go. So I need to get crack on and do those, because I mean they're the sort of thing I can sit and do during the winter. Once I finish this thing with the squares, it can be my evening knitting to knit a little stocking at night. So yeah. So I'm joining in with the 12 cast-ons, and I've got a list here of 9 so far, and I want to talk to you about it. So this podcast might be a bit longer. So or I might go through them. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go through them next time when I've started some of them and I've got the yarn out to the loft, and I can show you what I'm on about a lot better. So, but I'll just talk you through what I've decided to do so far. I can envisage that all you can see is a little face that's surrounded by all these other things I'm surrounded by. I'm going to disappear soon. I've decided to make a worsted boxy, which is a pattern by Hoagie Like I Tell You that a lot of you know. I've done one before. I've knitted my friend Michelle one for her 60th birthday. I might put a bit of texture in mine. I particularly like that slip stitch texture that I've just done that scarf in, but I think that would be too dense. I could do a pattern of it though. So what I've done is I've grabbed some skeins that have got pink and grey in, and this has been kicked off by the Advent swap that I did with Sal. I did one with Pip and one with Sal, and Sal gave me 3 skeins of yarn that were similar-ish colours, and I've used those because it's been very useful doing that. I can't remember which 3 are from her, but I've got 3 whole balls. What do you want, sausage? Excuse me, one tickled a bud. What's the matter? Hey, what do you want, darling? Oh, you're a good boy. Oh, you are a good boy. So I've got 3 skeins of purple and pinks, very pretty. And then I had this one from Tiny Teal Handmade, who are stopping dyeing, and she's local to me, and that's got more blues in it, but I thought, no, I'm going to use it. I think it's a higher percentage merino. I think it's probably an 85%. I thought I bought it as part of maybe breaking up into minis for when I did the charity bags, or as to pop in a giveaway. But I decided, because it was the right colour, that I would include that. So I've got those 4, which really should be enough, but I'm going to hold them double to get the worsted, a bit like I do with the City Limits. And then in here I am going to do, I've got loads and loads of minis of different shades of grey. You know, some of them have got purples in them. I've taken these from old Advents. You know, anything that I think will mix with the grey. I mean, there's one in there that's got tiny, it's almost white. It's got a tiny hint of green in it. But some of these are really, really pretty, and because they're Advent, some of them are very close to one another, because, you know, where they've sort of almost faded one to another. I've got some things that are slightly stronger as well, but all in all, they're, did I show you that one? That's nice. All in all, they're all very, very similar to one another, and we will, so I'll be holding them together with the 100 gram balls, and I'll be making the worsted boxy, and I'm going to cast that on fairly soon, but I want to finish the Felix first. The next thing I'm going to make is a set of fingerless gloves for my friend Nick, who's one of the tenor girls. We'll talk about tenor day in a minute. And she wanted a pair of fingerless mitts. She said she didn't care what style or anything. They're mainly to wear in the house. And one of the patterns I've got out of the Knitter magazine is Flock of Birds by Sophie McCain. I'll put a photograph up here. And I am going to use, I've got some Cascade yarn. I'll have to dig it out in sort of a rusty colour, and I think that's going to be quite nice. It's a twisted rib, or twisted stitch I should say, pattern, so it's got a little bit of give in it. So she's given me her measurements, and it looks like if I knit the large size that'll be fine for her. Now, you may or may not remember, but last year I bought a contrast book from Liner magazine, Liner Publishing, and they're all patterns, beautiful book, and they're all patterns by Mayu KP. It says the name of the author on here. And I did a little video yesterday of some of the patterns I really, really like in here. But I don't think it's come out very well on my camera phone, so I will do a more in-depth look at this book. But I just wanted to show you some of the things that I really, really like in here. I find the book very inaccessible because, let's start at the back, because that's the one that I'm going to knit first, part of the first one I want to do as part of my 12 cast-ons is this one, which is called Pearly Beach. And if you can't see that, then I will put a photograph in if I don't think it's showing well enough on the thingy. And it's done in fingerling, done in 4-ply, top down, and it is very, very similar to a Rico pattern that I own, that I can't remember the name of. And I'm thinking that will be a cast on for me because it's quite a slim, it's not a heavyweight jumper, it's sort of a transition weather jumper, or something you could pop something underneath. It's got quite a few holes in, so I'd probably wear a t-shirt or a cami or something underneath. Now, I am thinking of using my Crookston Crafts Yak yarn, which is in like a russet red, and I will put a photograph up of that. But it's in the loft, so I'm going to have to wait until we take the decorations down next week before I can get it down and put it in bags in here and slowly disappear under the yarn. But it's one of my aims to start one of my 12 cast-ons. I will do a better look at the book. I mean, it is rather nice, and you can see all the patterns. Excuse me, I should have. And the other one I want to do is this one called Cress, Green Cress, and it is a triangle in DK weight, and it's reversible. You've got, I'll have to put photographs in, I think, but because it's, you know, it's too heavy to hold. But the cables that are along the one edge and at the bottom, where the triangle is the widest point, look very nice on the other side. It gives it a nice texture where the cables have been worked on. So it's reversible in that respect, and I quite like the idea of that. And I'm going to do it in my advent, so it's going to be like it'll be in different colours, and I can make it as big as I like then. And I had 2 advents this year from one from Zakami, and the Zakami one is in double knitting weight merino, and these are days 11 and 12, and quite a few of them come out, they're tonals, and then they'll have a blob of something at the end, because it won't be at the end once it's unwound and everything. And they're really nice. Starting out with dark brown, going through. I'll take some photographs when I've opened them all. What I tend to do in my advents is I have them for Christmas, and then on Boxing Day I start opening 2 a day. So by the time we get to whatever it is, my version of 12th night, then I've opened them all. So this is 11 and 12. And while we're at it, keeping up. The other advent I had was from Libby at Needle and Thread, and these are days 11 and 12, and they're based on semi-precious gemstones and rocks. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but Libby has included a little stitch marker every day and a tiny chip of the relevant stone. So I'm thinking of putting all those on a piece of, you know, pretty elastic, maybe with some other findings, and making a little bead, because I can wear elasticated bracelets. I can't wear bangles very easily. And this one's like a grey and an aqua tone, and that is a green as grey as well. I don't know what stones they are, but they're absolutely beautiful. And I've got 24 of each of these, and then in addition to that I've got a 100-gram skein as well that blends them, goes with them beautifully. That is 100% merino, double knitting, and this is a yak mix. Can't remember offhand, but it's merino and yak and silk, I think, and it's gorgeous. But you can see that stands up reasonably well. But this is very, very floppy. That's a good indication of the drape. It depends how hard tight they wind the skeins up as well, obviously. But really enjoying opening these. I'm all over the place today because I want to get this done. But the Zakami came in a box, beautiful box that you lift up, and it had artwork in it. Had a beautiful passage written by somebody about winter. The box was called Healing. I think there were two options, and I chose Healing, and then I chose which yarn I wanted it on. There was also quite a heavy photo frame, which I'm not going to keep because it is, to be honest, it's a bit plasticky. It's supposed to be wood effect, but I don't have any use for it, so I will pass that on. But there's also some tea in there, and I think, but absolutely beautiful, very well presented, very well wrapped up, and you can see the care and attention that had gone into them. It must have taken them hours to do. Libby's was totally different in its presentation, in the fact that she's got a box that's got 24 perforations, a bit like a chocolate one, and you just open the door each month. But obviously the extra skein was there as well, and I think there was a Freddo frog and something else, might have been tea again, in there as well. So all very, very nice. I'm not going to lie to you, I mean, they're very expensive, these advents. Some people may consider them to be not good value, and I can understand where they're coming from. I have had them in the past. I don't know whether I'm going to get them next year, because I'm going to be trying to avoid quite a few indie dyers that I can't resist. I don't need to add to my stash, and I'm not using them quick enough. And unless I get through these, then I'm not going to be inclined to order any more. But for me, they're my main Christmas present. So in that respect, they represent value to me, because I love opening them, I love the presentation, and I then have terrible angst about not wasting them and wanting to use them in the best way possible. And it's one reason why I don't use them, is because I can't decide what to put them into. Anyway, so I'm more than happy with my advents this year. I'm very, very pleased. And I will show you a bit more about the contrast book, I think, when I've taken some better photographs, because, say, I tried to do a video yesterday. As you know, you may remember, I wrote to Liner and I said to them, this book is unusable for me. It's too heavy. I can't cart it around with me. And all they said to me was, and I said, can I have a download code? And they went, no, you can't have a download code because that's a separate product, and it's almost as expensive as the book, which was about £40. I don't regret buying the book, but I object to the fact that they could easily supply me with a download code. I struggle with this. I tried to take photographs of the pattern pages in what they suggested, and I had difficulty doing that. I'm going to have to get my proper camera out, I think, and have a go. But if you look at Pom Pom magazine and Stephen West, they both do download codes for the patterns that are in a bigger format. And I wouldn't mind, but a Pom Pom magazine and a Stephen West pamphlet and some of his smaller books are very easily transportable. This bugger isn't. So I'm disappointed, not in the patterns, but I'm disappointed in Liner. not responding to me to make it more accessible for me. And I don't know what else to do, really. I'm not an influencer. I just think it's a shame that they have spoilt my enjoyment of it a little bit by not making it more easily, making it easier to use. Rant over. So I've shown you what I'd like to make out of that for the the contrast book for the 12 cast-ons. So that takes me up to, so I've got a boxy, fingerless gloves, the crest, the green crest shawl, and the pearly beach jumper. And then I've gone up to 9 again, but I will add more. I'm thinking of a hat for me. I could do with a nice squishy hat. No plans on that yet. Fingerless gloves for me as well. A Mary Jane Tea Room bear. Put a photograph of one up. And I really, really, really want to use my rose gold fade, which I will get out of the loft and show you next time. Put a picture up, and I think I might have mentioned it last time, because I absolutely love it. And I did a lot of searching online before I decided that, you know, it was time not to buy any more yarn. And I took advantage of some sales, and I'll show you what I bought in a minute. But I bought an extra skein to go with the rose gold. I'm looking down there. I don't think it's there. And having got it home, having had it delivered, I'm not sure it will go with the rose gold fade that I've already got. So we'll have to see. I need to get the stuff at the loft and see what colour, if there's something, a proper colour that I can use as a contrast. One of the things I'm thinking of making out of it is the Aurora Cabin Shawl by Stephen West, which started on Boxing Day. There's like an M cow. And I love it. It looks lovely, huge and complicated, which is what I like. But I don't think that is the right set of colours for it, for me. I don't think it's meant to have a couple of pops of colour in it. And I don't think it will work so well as a fade. So, and then finally, that was number 8, the rose gold, used the rose gold fade, but I don't know what pattern. And then finally, I'm thinking of, I've got quite a few Aaron Waite Croft by West Yorkshire Spinners, like a Shetland wool, beautiful. And I've got 5 colours, I think, mainly the green, and I'm thinking of doing the Indigo Frost poncho by Isabel Kramer. But it's got to be useful to me, so I may end up using that as a colourwork jumper instead. We'll see. Again, it's the yarn that I'm picking out rather than the pattern. So I'm going to mix and match, and I would like to do 12 cast-ons, but I'm going to run out of bags, and I'm going to run out of needles probably. Anyway, doesn't matter. I've got cables, I can put them on. Yes, so I'll show you the contrast book in a bit more detail next time, and I've also got the Nora Gorn book, Twisted Stitch short source book, that I'd like to show you. I haven't looked to see there's a download code, because that's equally as big, but that's got more stitch patterns, as in and less complete patterns in it. It's a source book, so it shows you different, it's like a stitch bible partly, so you wouldn't use it in quite the same way as a whole pattern book. Right, my last set of incoming before the Wool Warehouse stuff has got various bits and pieces in, but my last proper incoming before I stop buying today. This is a gorgeous bag, not made by me. It's from Libby and Fred. Libby, Needle and Fred. Beautiful. I bought it for the colours. Tom said, "You make bags?" when I opened it on Christmas Day. Yes, I do. But I like it so much. Now, in here, various things, but I wanted to show you that my sister-in-law, Naomi, works at Hobbycraft, and attached the tags that she used this year. But I think they did swans last year. These gorgeous velvety things, and then she's written on them our names. So she even did a Bertie one. A bit yumpy them too. And she gave me this gorgeous accessorised pouch as well, because I do like a bit of bling sometimes, you know. You can't see mine really because you've got a, it's red, but it's got a red glitter pen, so it doesn't show as well. Anyway, I went on the interweb and looking at, Libby said she was having a real crash sale because she's going to have a year off, and I bought this bag, and I bought some Suri Alpaca, sorry, mohair silk, and this is, what does it say actually? It's called That Dress. Now I've already got one called That Dress, which was, she said it was a one-off because it wasn't quite like it should be, and this is BFL, 75% BFL, 25% nylon, 4-ply, and it's 50 grams I think, so yeah, so I've got 2 of those, and I think they go quite nicely with that, and that might be my hat and fingerless gloves kit. What do you think? That'll work? I think that'll work. And then, because I'll show you the other thing that I had, well, the other thing that came with the bag, let me just unhook this, was a matching pouch, like a little notions pouch, with a squeezable, you know, that you have with glasses case, a squeezable snap shut. You might not want to put anything too heavy in it, or, you know, but it does snap shut. I've ordered some of these frames because one of the things I want to do is make some like that. I'd already got plans to do that, and it reminded me when this came. So they look really nice together, don't they, as a set? And I'm going to do some of these to include in my giveaway bags. It has attached itself to there. This is the skein of yarn I bought to go with my rose gold. This is from the Reign of the Roses. And it's got pinks, reds, brown, beige, ish, even a bit of very, very dark brown. I don't think it's black. So that's quite nice. And then, because I thought, well, I'm ordering from her, I might as well have a bit more, which is why I'm in all this trouble with so much yarn in the first place. And I ordered these gorgeous autumnal colours as well. These need photographing and putting on my stash. These are BFL and nylon, and they're 5 by 20 grams. So really, these could go in, although they don't necessarily tone-wise match. Oh, I don't know. Some of them will, with what I had from Emma of Yarnworthy. Perhaps I could make something with the leftovers from that and these, and they would go really, really nicely together. So that's the last of my incoming, apart from the wool warehouse, which is this here, this one that I've bought to go with my rose gold faded, called French Polished, and it's a high twist single, merino single. So see, I don't want to make, because the others are singles, I don't want to make a garment out of it, even though it's beautiful colours, because it wouldn't wear on me, you know. It ruined my clothes. It's just as well I've got so much yarn then, isn't it? Anyway, as I put these back together, all I've ordered from Wool Warehouse is I've ordered a little bit of grey and pink to go with the worsted boxy. I've just ordered some Shepsy's Metropolis, which is a 75-25 mix, and then just to cover myself, because, you know, I'm sure I've probably got something in the loft I could use. And then I've ordered some of the merino I was talking about earlier to go with the blanket bit, and I think that's it. So I don't need any more yarn now. I've covered myself well and truly. I look at my stash and I think, yeah, it's time to have some very, very deep dives and get the stuff on the needles. And stop your pithering about, girl, because I do so much pithering, it's ridiculous. Right, we're nearly up to 50 minutes, although there will be a break in the middle where I talk to the man, the boiler man. He won't hear that conversation, hopefully. And I think that's all I want to talk about with the yarn, that's yarn related. I know I'm going to be so brave. I went and had a look at Beehive Yarns Club for next year, because, you know, I said to myself, I'm not going to buy any more yarn, but I will allow myself a yarn club. And then I went on to Attic's Been Dye doing a gorgeous subscription as well, and I thought about that one, but the one I'd opted for, which I'd bought already before I looked at those two sites, I've looked at a few more as well, obviously, being me, is the I've gone for the luxury one with Emma of Yarnworthy. She's got 3 going, and the luxury one I've opted for, coincidentally, because I'd forgotten, the yak. So it's going to be similar type yarn, and every 2 months I will get her choice of colour, and I've opted to have a bear skein as well. And that will mean that I could possibly use these and a couple of the bear skeins in a garment, because it'd be nice to have something like, you know, a breathing space that, is it Vera Mai? Anyway, breathing space. I can't pronounce her surname, but I haven't got it in front of me. Vera Mal... Yeah, shut up, Anne. Is it Valamaki? Is it Mira? Anyway, whatever it is, you know what I mean. And it was that nice striped, it had like, it came out just above the bust, didn't it, with sort of stripes going at an angle down. Something like that would be nice. I quite like stripes. So yeah, so plans have come together accidentally there, unusually. And I'm quite happy with that. So that's going to be bi-monthly, but of course, because I'm getting 2 skeins at once, it's still going to be, you know, 1,100 grams by the end of the year. I'm happy with that. And I've got to stop looking. So that's it really. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I've been doing, and then we'll say goodbye and I'll start editing. I am going to be, I've got to get more organised. I really have to get more organised. I am in a mess here. I'm sinking under my own craft. Anyway, since I last saw you, I've done quite a bit of my socialising. My mum visited us the weekend that I'd recorded. I think she visited us on the Monday or the Tuesday for a couple of hours, had some presents to give us. And then on the Wednesday, that must have been on the Monday, on the Wednesday we had 10 a day, and I was really thinking I don't want to go because I've been struggling quite a lot physically. So I wrote to my friend and I said, will you come in the loo with me? And she went, yes, of course I will. And I felt fine. Great, you know, I just need a bit of help. I've talked before about disabled toilets quite openly, and they've got this habit of putting the sink right next to the loo, and it means I don't have any room, you know, I just don't have any room to try and get myself dressed again, and it's so frustrating. So we went to Bolero in Worcester, which is in the Tithing. Sorry about the... Is that Piggy Bert? My brother and sister-in-law, the ones that did him his own tag. They bought him a pig that grunts, little pig, carries around with him. It's funny. He does love his toys. Anyway, we went to Bolero, which is in the Tithing in Worcester. It's quite upmarket for Worcester, really. And it's nice. We all had a twinkle, which is a champagne cocktail, and it's got champagne, vodka, elderflower and lime, I think. So I had 2 drinks all day in about 10 hours. So I was well below the limit. I was driving. And that was very nice. And then I had a glass of wine a bit later. and I opted for chicken skewers to start off with, and they came with what they said was pita bread. Well, pita bread, if you buy it from the supermarket, is quite thin, unleavened. Their version of pita bread is like a mini naan bread, so it's quite filling, very tasty. The chicken skewers had cumin and a few spices on them, but they were very nice, and a bit of salad with it. And then I ordered what I fancied off the menu, which was the lamb burger. I didn't eat all the lamb burger. I ate about 2/3 of it. I didn't eat, and it came with pita bread. And again, their version of pita bread is mini naan breads. They're about that big, and you get two. You get one underneath the burger and one on top of the burger. One's got mint sauce on it. The other one's got some sort of sticky chutney type thing on it. So I had to try and scrape off both of them to eat it with my salad and my burger. And when I'm presented with a lot of food like that, it puts me off eating, but not for long enough that I didn't want a dessert about 2 hours later. And what did I have then? I had chocolate fudge brownie, I think, which was okay. Nothing special, but it was okay. Then the girls were having cocktails, and they were having a glass of wine, and we didn't play any games in there, but we opened a couple of our bags, and Nikki had bought from the works a box of glow sticks that you put together. You have to crack them, don't you, so they glow nicely. And I put a couple in, we put them in our bedroom when we got home, the ones that I got. And they glowed for a couple of days, quite good. But they were great, and I put the photographs in. We made glasses out of them. I put mine around my wrist in the end, or around my neck in the end, because, I couldn't reach to keep putting the glasses on, they keep falling off. And I wear glasses anyway. So we did that. And then about 5:30, 6, it might have been earlier than that, we moved up to Wetherspoons, because we've been going to the postal order for as long as it's opened. Me and Nikki have, and Nick, and then Jan joined us a few years later. We've been going there every month. Would be our go-to place to go, because you know what you're getting. It's got a decent disabled toilet in there, and the service isn't bad, and now they do it on the app, it's excellent. So we went into the postal order, found a seat easily enough, and then we started playing games. We played one game where you had to guess the lyric that was missing, which we weren't very good at, because none of us are all too modern. It didn't even tell you what song it was from. I was terrible at that. And then we played another game that was Say What You See, which was like catchphrase. So you hold up a card. We went round, hold up a card, and for instance, a simple one would be 2 vertical lines with the word reading. You would be reading between the lines, something like that. And I was quite good at that one, I must admit. I wasn't as good as Nick, but I came second in that game. And then we did another one, which was a drawing game, where you had a card with a bit like Trivial Pursuit, where you've got different categories. Well, one was an action. I mean, how you draw. One was paying someone. How do you draw that? And you only had a minute. You had an egg timer. How do you draw paying, as an action? Because they don't know that you've got an action. It can be an action, an object, or you can choose, depending on what colour. Now, if you've got a white square on the dice that you threw, if you've got a white face come up, then you had to do it with your eyes closed, but you could choose any of the items off that card. If you had a black one, you had to do it with your wrong hand. Useless. But anyway, it was good fun. And we had some crisps and nuts in thinking, because we'd been quite some time since we'd eaten. And that was nice. So all in all, we had 4 gift bags to open, and we had some lovely, lovely presents. I've got a needle felting kit. I've got some colouring books, crossword book, smellies, a little bit of alcohol. The chocolate's all gone, obviously. But yeah, really, really nice things that we swap. And we had a really good time. I think it's the best evening we've had for quite a few years, because, and it was so nostalgic going back to the postal order. It shuts at the very beginning of January. I think it's something to do with the vent or the tenancy. Now there is another spoons in Worcester, which is the Crown, and I'm not so keen on the Crown because all the old men go in the toilet and we on the floor. It looks like they do it deliberately, but anyway. I mean, they do that in the postal order, but it's not so bad because Wetherspoons have got this awful habit of putting their toilets upstairs or downstairs, don't they? So yeah, so it was a good day, and I didn't get home till 10 o'clock. Far later than I did. I said to Tom I'll be home about 6. But Nikki had a real problem getting my chair back in the car. She'd had quite a bit to drink, and I'm not criticising her on that. You know, she always put my chair back in the car when she's had a bottle of wine, no problem. But she's got a bit of a hip problem going on, and she couldn't bend over for long enough to hook the chair onto things. She was in agony, and I just sat there and I thought, I don't know what to do. I nearly phoned my other friend who'd already gone home and said, can you come back in with your husband and see if you can help her? But she would have been annoyed with me if I'd done that. Not my friend who'd asked, Nikki. So, yeah, that was a bit of a struggle for her, and I've got to see if we can avoid that. She is getting, hopefully, she's had some x-rays, but they haven't found anything. Well, they won't, will they? If it's soft tissue or nerve damage or whatever. So frustrating. Don't get old. So that was our day, and I was absolutely knackered the next day. I couldn't move. I'd bolstered myself by taking my stronger tablets all day that day. And then the next day and the day after, I was really very, very, very tired. So that was on the Wednesday. Didn't do anything. I've not been out of the house since for nearly 10 days, and I'm not bothered. Christmas Day was really nice. We got up, opened my present, but I felt a bit poorly. I got a funny head, and in the end I got out of the wheelchair and got on the armchair, which I do in the evening to watch telly. I took a couple of my head tablets, which are like seasickness ones, and I felt a bit better after that. Had something to eat, felt a bit better. And Tom had got a sirloin joint from Morrison's on the Thursday. Cooked it the day before so we could have proper garlic gravy, and we ate at about 7 in the evening, and we had an absolutely beautiful meal. We didn't have a starter because, I mean, it just wrecks me, you know. I want to eat the food but I can't fit it all in. So we had a Yorkshire pudding and I think, you know, various vegetables, parsnips, sprouts, carrots, potatoes, and proper northern gravy. And then I had half a piece of white bread to dip in my gravy afterwards. If you haven't tried it, don't knock it. And we didn't have any pudding. I started my panettone, and I bought some cream, extra thick double cream, but it'd been in our fridge about a week. And I bought a Mr. Kipling raspberry sponge because I couldn't get the one I wanted, the sticky toffee. And when I tried them, the cream tasted like cheese. It hadn't gone off. I mean, you know, the extra thick double cream is mainly fat. It should keep for way past the best before date, really. And it wasn't past the best before date, although it was very near to. So I had that the following evening, and I wasn't impressed at all. So I've got the other pudding to eat, but it's one of those that are on the shelf, so it's probably got quite a long sell-by date on it. Used by, best before, whatever they are. Like, a bit hit and miss as far as we're concerned in this house. And that's it, really. I've had a very nice week of relaxing, watching various things on my tablet while I knit, or I need to do some reading. I've got 2 great big books out the library, the Robert Galbraith striped books, and I haven't watched the version on the telly either, and I need to do some reading. I need to finish the first book before I see my mum on Tuesday. My mum has got COVID. Well, she's tested negative today, but she tested positive on Wednesday, I think it was. So, she's not happy because she had it in March. And she'd been with my sister over Christmas, but it looks like they're okay. I mean, my friend who I met on Tenergut said her husband had COVID by Christmas Day, and, you know, she shares a bed with him and she hasn't caught it. It's like measles, isn't it? You should look at the drawer. Oh, there's a robin on the feeder. 2 robins. Oh, that's interesting. They will have a go at each other. The robin just chases every other bird off. So which one's going to be the dominant robin? And also we've got a black cap, female black cap, got like a russet head. We've had a resident male black cap last few years. Now we've got a female one as well. But I've not seen the male. I've only seen the male once. Oh yeah, interesting. Right, sorry, I'm watching the birdies. How have you been? What have you been up to? Let me know. Did you have a good Christmas? Do you hate Christmas? Some people do, don't they? And I think sometimes it can be associated with illnesses and, you know, people, you know, losing people and things, or it brings back memories. You know, there's lots of things that aren't so positive about the time of year, and it being dark and damp and wet like it is today doesn't help one bit, does it? So, I'm just going to go and finish this little bottle of Pershore June berries. Now, Pershore is in Worcestershire, and it sits on the River Avon, the one that goes through Stratford on Avon. And I went into the Tourist Information Centre when I was in town with Denise, and I asked this lady about what it tastes like, these June berries, and she said it's a little bit like Bakewell tart. So I bought it because, you know, it's a welcoming cherry almond glow. They do a gin version, but I bought the vodka version because I didn't want the gin undertone to it, because I'm not mad on gin. It's 19.1% volume, 20 cl. I drank half of it the other day, and I might drink the rest of it this afternoon and tonight, with it being New Year's Eve. It's like a stronger sherry, really, and it's very nice. It's a nice sort of tawny colour. Yeah, it smells lovely. So if you're ever in Worcestershire, I'd recommend it. Very, very nice. I am going to go. Happy New Year to you. Enjoy yourself tonight if you're boogieing on down or getting dressed in all these sequined outfits that they keep selling in the shops this time of year. What have we got for tea? We've got gnocchi. Tom's going to make a tomato sauce, and we're going to have gnocchi with chorizo style sausagey bits in it. And he made a sourdough cheesy garlic bread twists the other week, and we froze half of them, and we're having that other half tonight as well. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting a bit peckish actually. We only had porridge today. I'm going to go. I will see you very, very soon. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will be making a bit more effort to put a bit more content into my programmes, into my episodes. You take care. Let me know what you've been up to. You know I like to hear from you, and I will see you very soon. Ta-ra.